Welcome to the Amazon.
It needs no venom. It needs no speed. Its weapon is absolute patience and a strength capable of stopping the heart of any prey. In the heart of the Amazon, where everything seems alive, an ancestral predator dominates from the shadows of the water. There are places on the planet where time seems to have stopped. Territories so vast, so dense, so impenetrable that modern civilization has barely managed to touch their edges. The Amazon rainforest is one of those places. A green ocean that stretches beyond any visible horizon, where vegetation grows with a voracity that defies all logic, and where every square meter harbors more life forms than entire cities of the developed world. The air here has weight. It feels in the lungs, like something tangible, thick with humidity and laden with the aromas of millions of simultaneous biological processes. Decomposing leaves, flowers releasing their perfume to attract pollinators, fruits ripening in unreachable canopies, the metallic smell of stagnant water. Everything mixes in an olfactory symphony that no laboratory could replicate. Nothing remains still in this place. The Amazon basin covers almost 7 million square kilometers, extending across 9 South American countries in a green embrace that surrounds the equator. Brazil contains the largest portion, but human borders mean little here. The forest does not recognize lines on maps. It only recognizes the water that feeds it, the sun that drives it, and the eternal cycles that have governed it since long before any nation existed. The rivers are the arteries of this colossal organism. The Amazon, the most voluminous river on the planet, drags toward the Atlantic a volume of water so enormous that it stains the ocean brown for hundreds of kilometers out to sea. Its tributaries, some as large as the greatest rivers of other continents, form a network of channels, meanders, lakes and lagoons that constantly transforms with the seasons. And it is in these waters where the silent giant dwells. From the muddy banks where vegetation leans over the turbid surface, to the deep backwaters where light barely penetrates, a predator has perfected the art of invisibility for millions of years. It does not roar to announce its presence. It does not display warning colors. It does not need to intimidate its prey with demonstrations of power. When the anaconda decides to act, it is already too late. The first impression of anyone who encounters an adult green anaconda is one of absolute disbelief. The human brain, accustomed to snakes of manageable sizes, resists processing what the eyes show it. A body as thick as an adult man's torso, a length that can exceed 8 meters in exceptional specimens, a weight that reaches and surpasses 200 kilograms in large females. It is a creature of prehistoric proportions, and yet, despite its colossal mass, the anaconda possesses an almost supernatural ability to disappear. Its skin, decorated with a pattern of black spots on an olive-green background, replicates with mathematical precision the play of light and shadow in Amazonian water. The spots mimic floating leaves. The green merges with submerged vegetation. The eyes and nostrils, strategically located on the upper part of the skull, are the only things that break the surface when the serpent observes. Everything about it is designed for ambush. The dorsal scales have a texture that absorbs light rather than reflecting it, eliminating any glint that might betray its position. The musculature allows movement so slow, so gradual, that they are imperceptible to any prey not specifically alert, 1 centimeter per minute, sometimes less. Patience elevated to an art form, and when the distance is correct, when the angle is precise, when the prey has made the fatal mistake of coming too close, everything changes in a fraction of a second. The anaconda's attack is not a pursuit. It is an ambush executed with the precision of a perfectly calibrated mechanism. Muscles that have remained relaxed for hours contract simultaneously. The body projects forward with a speed that contradicts its apparent mass. The mouth opens, revealing rows of backward curved teeth designed not to chew, but to anchor. The initial impact is devastating, but it is not the bite that kills. The anaconda's teeth are instruments of grip, not destruction. Its true weapon is the embrace. At the same instant, the jaws close on the prey. The coils of the body begin to wrap around it, layer upon layer of pure muscle, each coil tighter than the last, each contraction synchronized with the heartbeats of the victim. Death by constriction is a process of terrifying precision. Contrary to popular belief, the anaconda does not crush the bones of its prey. It does not need to. Its technique is far more sophisticated and far more efficient. Every time the victim exhales, the coils tighten a little more. The space to inhale progressively diminishes. The pressure on the circulatory system increases until the blood flow to the brain is completely interrupted. The heart tries to pump. The coils squeeze tighter. Death comes not from pulmonary asphyxiation, but from cardiovascular collapse. The brain, deprived of oxygen, loses consciousness in seconds. The heart, unable to overcome the external pressure, stops shortly after. The entire process, from initial attack to total immobility, can be completed in less than a minute for medium-sized prey. Absolute efficiency, pure brutality. Once the prey stops moving, another equally extraordinary phase of the process begins. The anaconda slowly loosens its deadly embrace. It repositions the inert body, generally orienting it to begin ingestion from the head. The jaws, connected to the skull by extraordinarily elastic ligaments, begin to disarticulate. What follows defies all anatomical logic. The mouth expands to several times its resting size. The skull bones, designed to allow this extreme flexibility, separate laterally. The prey, which may be several times wider than the snake, begins to disappear centimeter by centimeter into the predator's jaws. The process is slow, deliberate, almost hypnotic in its constant rhythm. An adult capybara can take several hours to be completely swallowed. During swallowing, the anaconda is extremely vulnerable. Its senses are compromised, its capacity for movement severely limited, its attention completely focused on the feeding process. That is why it chooses its moments carefully. That is why it prefers hours of less activity. That is why it seeks secluded corners where the probability of being disturbed is minimal. Even the supreme predator knows prudence. Once ingestion is complete, the serpent seeks a safe place for the long process of digestion. A quiet backwater among submerged roots, a muddy bank covered with dense vegetation, a semi-submerged hollow log that offers refuge and shade. There it will remain for days, sometimes weeks, while its extraordinarily efficient metabolism breaks down every gram of protein, every drop of fat. The anaconda's digestive system is a marvel of evolutionary adaptation. Stomach acids so potent they dissolve bones. Enzymes capable of processing hair, feathers, scales, and claws. An intestine designed to extract every last available nutrient. Nothing is wasted. Everything is transformed into energy for the next hunting cycle. Efficiency has a cost. During the digestion of large prey, the anaconda enters a state of lethargy that makes it particularly vulnerable. Its reaction capacity decreases drastically. Its movements become clumsy and slow. If a predator large enough or a group of medium-sized predators were to discover it in this state, the result could be fatal even for this giant. That is why the location of the digestion site is so critical. But not all hunts end in success. The life of the Amazon's supreme predator is far from being a succession of easy victories. Prey constantly evolves, developing sharper senses, faster reflexes, more cautious behaviors. Each generation of capybaras that survives transmits to its descendants the lessons learned from close encounters with death. The arms race never ends. Capybaras, Favorite prey of the anaconda in many regions have developed an impressive repertoire of defenses. Their peripheral vision allows them to detect subtle movements in the water. Their ears capture vibrations that might indicate the sliding of a massive body. Their gregarious behavior means there are always multiple pairs of eyes watching while other members of the group feed or rest. A single alert individual can save the entire group. When a capybara detects danger, it emits an alarm bark that resonates along the banks. The sound is unmistakable, urgent, impossible to ignore. In an instant, the entire group abandons the riverside vegetation and plunges into the water. But here arises the paradox of Amazonian survival. The water that offers refuge from jaguars and pumas is precisely where the anaconda waits. The choice between terrestrial and aquatic predators is constant. Capybaras have responded to this dilemma by developing a remarkable ability to remain submerged for extended periods. They can hold their breath for more than 5 minutes, moving beneath the surface to emerge far from where they were last seen. It is an effective strategy against many predators, but the anaconda can also remain submerged for comparable periods. The underwater hide-and-seek game favors whoever has more patience. Beyond capybaras, the anaconda's diet encompasses practically the entire spectrum of appropriately sized Amazonian fauna. Peccaries, those wild pigs that roam the forest in noisy herds, represent valuable but dangerous prey. Their tusks can inflict serious wounds, and their tendency to travel in groups means an attack could attract the aggressive response of multiple individuals. The anaconda calculates these risks with instinctive precision. Tapirs, the largest terrestrial mammals in South America, also figure on the silent giant's menu. With weights exceeding 300 kilograms, they represent a formidable challenge even for large-sized anacondas. But a tapir crossing a river at the wrong moment, a young individual separated from its mother, an adult weakened by illness or age, all are opportunities the serpent will not let pass. Vulnerability always finds someone to exploit it. Marsh deer frequent the same banks that the anaconda patrols. Their delicate elegance contrasts dramatically with the brutality of the predator stalking them. When they lower their heads to drink, when they wade into shallow waters to feed on aquatic plants, they are entering enemy territory without realizing it. Every sip of water is a calculated risk. But perhaps no prey better illustrates the anaconda's supremacy than the caiman. These reptiles, direct descendants of the dinosaurs, are themselves formidable predators. The black caiman, the largest of the Amazonian species, can reach lengths of more than 5 meters and possesses jaws capable of crushing bones with ease. 2 evolutionary designs perfected for killing. The confrontation between anaconda and caiman is one of the most dramatic spectacles in wild nature. When a snake of sufficient size detects a young or medium-sized caiman, it may decide the risk is worth the reward. What follows is a combat that seems drawn from prehistoric eras. Scales against scales, constriction against bite, patience against ferocity. The snake does not always win. An adult caiman in the prime of its strength can inflict mortal wounds before succumbing to the anaconda's coils. Its teeth, though not as sharp as those of other predators, exert a devastating bite pressure. A single blow from its muscular tail can fracture ribs. The battle, when it occurs, can last hours of silent struggle beneath the surface. But the anaconda has a crucial advantage. Its body, designed for constriction, can absorb considerable punishment while continuing to squeeze. A caiman can bite and shake, but the serpent simply coils tighter. It can twist and churn the water into foam, but the rings do not yield. It can resist with all its prehistoric strength, but eventually its heart too succumbs to the relentless pressure. When the anaconda wins, the feast is proportional to the effort. The consumption of a medium-sized caiman can sustain a large anaconda for months. The protein-dense meat, the mineral-rich bones, the nutrient-packed organs, everything is utilized by the serpent's extraordinarily efficient digestive system. For weeks after such a meal, the anaconda can remain practically motionless, dedicating all its energy to the digestion process. Abundance has its own rhythm. On the margins of the great Amazonian rivers, another predator observes these dynamics with golden, penetrating eyes. The jaguar, the most powerful feline in the Americas, shares territory with the anaconda in a relationship of mutual respect that is rarely broken. Both are supreme in their respective domains. The jaguar reigns on solid ground. The anaconda dominates the waters. The borders are clearly defined. When a jaguar approaches the water to drink, it does so with extreme caution. Its senses, honed by millions of years of evolution as a predator, are fully alert. It knows that beneath the turbid surface could wait a rival of comparable proportions. The anaconda, for its part, recognizes in the jaguar an adversary not to be underestimated. Coexistence is born from mutual respect. Direct encounters between these two titans are extraordinarily rare, but when they occur, the outcome is unpredictable. An adult jaguar can weigh up to 130 kilograms of pure muscle and possesses the most powerful bite among all felines in proportion to its size. It is capable of piercing a caiman's skull with a single bite. But facing a large-sized anaconda, even this supreme predator shows caution. Prudence is not cowardice, it is survival. Generally, both predators opt to avoid confrontation. The jaguar seeks prey that does not involve submerging itself in enemy territory. The anaconda prefers victims that cannot counterattack with claws and fangs. It is a tacit agreement written in the genetic code of both species, perfected over countless generations. The forest has enough space for both kings. Beyond the great predators, the Amazonian ecosystem harbors a constellation of creatures that interact with the anaconda in diverse ways. The pirarucu, one of the largest freshwater fish in the world, patrols the same waters with a majesty that evokes ancestral times. Its armored body, covered with scales so hard that indigenous peoples use them as sandpaper, can exceed 3 meters in length. Two giants that rarely interfere with each other. The pirarucu breathes air, periodically emerging to the surface with a characteristic sound that resonates through the backwaters. This need makes it vulnerable during those brief moments of exposure, but its size and speed protect it from most predators. An anaconda would have difficulty subduing an adult pirarucu in its element, and generally does not even try. Each giant knows its limits. The pink river dolphin, unique inhabitant of Amazon waters, navigates the same channels with a grace that contrasts with the calculated immobility of the anaconda. Its pink coloration, more intense in adult males, results from the superficial vascularization of the skin that develops with age. They are creatures of notable intelligence, capable of navigating turbid waters through a sophisticated echolocation system. For them, the anaconda represents no significant threat. Pink dolphins are too fast, too aware of their surroundings, too agile in their medium to fall into the serpent's ambushes. When they detect an anaconda in their territory, they simply avoid it with a fluid maneuver and continue their search for fish. They are one of the few large creatures of the Amazon that can ignore the silent giant without consequences. Speed is their safe passage. Giant otters, organized in vocal and cooperative families, fish in the same waters where the anaconda hunts. They can reach almost 2 meters in length, making them the largest mustelids in the world. Their dense fur and accelerated metabolism keep them in constant movement, always searching, always hunting, always communicating through a repertoire of vocalizations that includes more than 20 distinct sounds. Noise is their defensive strategy. When a family of giant otters detects an anaconda, the response is immediate and coordinated. Adults emit alarm calls while younger individuals cluster in the center of the group. If the serpent is submerged, the family abandons the area quickly. If it is exposed, they may even harass it with quick bites and coordinated retreats, forcing it to seek less contested waters. Cooperation can defeat size. In the branches that extend over the water, the harpy eagle observes the aquatic drama with the eyes of a consummate predator. It is the most powerful raptor in the Americas, with talons as large as a bear's and a grip strength capable of fracturing skulls. Its preferred prey are the monkeys and sloths that inhabit the canopy, but it does not disdain more unusual opportunities. Baby anacondas occasionally figure in its diet. This threat from above adds another layer of complexity to the survival of young anacondas. Before reaching sizes that make them invulnerable to most predators, they must navigate a world full of dangers in all directions. Caimans from the water, jaguars from the shore, eagles from the sky. Juvenile mortality is extraordinarily high. Only the most adapted reach maturity. The reproduction of the anaconda is a process as fascinating as it is brutal. Females, considerably larger than males, release pheromones during the mating season that attract suitors from distances of several kilometers. What follows is one of the strangest and most disturbing spectacles in the animal world. A female can be surrounded by more than a dozen males. What scientists call a mating ball is exactly that, a writhing mass of intertwined bodies that can remain in constant motion for weeks. Males compete not through direct combat, but through persistence and positioning. Each one tries to coil around the female, seeking to align its cloaca for fertilization. The process is exhausting for all involved. The smaller, less resistant, or less skilled males gradually abandon the competition. Their energy reserves are depleted. Their determination falters. Only the fittest, those with the correct combination of size, strength, and persistence, eventually achieve fertilization. It is natural selection in its most primitive and direct form. The genetics of the strongest prevail. Gestation lasts approximately 7 months, during which the female must maintain her body at optimal temperatures for embryo development. Unlike most snakes, the anaconda is ovoviviparous, which means that the eggs develop and hatch inside the mother's body. The young are born alive, fully formed, and ready to survive on their own. There is no maternal care, no teaching, only instinct. A large female can give birth to between 20 and 40 offspring in a single clutch, although cases of more than 80 have been recorded. Each newborn measures between 60 and 90 centimeters in length, already equipped with all the instincts necessary to hunt, avoid predators, and survive in the most competitive environment on the planet. From the first moment, they are alone. The small anacondas disperse immediately after birth, each seeking its own territory in the aquatic Amazonian labyrinth. They feed on frogs, small fish, baby caimans, young aquatic birds. They grow rapidly during the first years if they manage to survive. Each additional centimeter of length increases their chances of reaching the next stage. Size is destiny. By the time an anaconda reaches 3 meters in length, the list of its potential predators has decreased drastically. At 5 meters, it has practically no natural enemies. At 7 or 8 meters, it has become the supreme predator of its ecosystem, capable of subduing virtually any prey that fits within its coils. The transformation from hunted to hunter takes years of constant survival. The anaconda's growth continues throughout its life, although the rate decreases significantly with age. The largest specimens, those that reach truly extraordinary lengths, have decades of existence. They have survived seasons of extreme drought. They have withstood times of prey scarcity. They have navigated a world of constant dangers for longer than most animals live. They are living monuments to persistence, The indigenous peoples of the Amazon have coexisted with the anaconda for millennia, developing a relationship that mixes reverence, fear, and deep respect. In their cosmologies, the great serpent occupies a central place, frequently associated with water, fertility, and the primordial powers of creation and destruction. Myth reflects ecological reality. For these cultures, the anaconda is not simply a dangerous animal to be avoided. It is an indicator of the ecosystem's health, a symbol of aquatic abundance, a constant reminder that humans share this territory with forces they cannot control. Where the anaconda thrives, the river is healthy. Where it disappears, something fundamental has broken in the fabric of life. The serpent as a barometer of balance. Traditional knowledge about anaconda behavior, transmitted orally for generations, frequently coincides with the discoveries of modern science. The elders know when and where the great serpent is most likely to be found. They know the signs of its presence. They understand the rhythms of its activity throughout the seasons. Patient observation is also a form of wisdom. In recent decades, the Amazon has faced pressures unprecedented in the history of human civilization. Deforestation advances from the edges toward the green heart with a speed that alarms scientists and conservationists alike. Each year, millions of hectares of primary forest are converted into pastures for cattle or crop fields. The planet's lung is being emptied. The rivers, vital arteries of the ecosystem, suffer their own threats. Illegal mining contaminates the waters with mercury, a poison that accumulates in the food chain and eventually reaches the top predators. Hydroelectric dams fragment the channels, interrupting fish migrations that have occurred without interruption for millions of years. Sedimentation increases as erosion accelerates in deforested areas. Clean water is becoming a memory. Climate change adds another layer of uncertainty to an already precarious future. The precipitation patterns that have governed the cycles of flood and drought for millennia are beginning to alter. More intense and prolonged droughts dry up wetlands that had never lost their water before. More severe floods destroy habitats that depended on more moderate rhythms. The millennial balance is wavering. The anaconda, as supreme predator of this ecosystem, is particularly vulnerable to these changes. Its dependence on healthy waters and stable prey populations makes it one of the first victims when the balance breaks. Where rivers become contaminated, where wetlands disappear, where prey becomes scarce, the great serpent also disappears. The silent giant cannot survive in a desert. However, in the most remote corners of the basin, where roads have not yet arrived and traditional communities maintain their ancestral ways of life, the anaconda continues its primordial existence. It hunts on moonless nights when darkness is absolute and its prey cannot see it approaching. It reproduces in the waters of the flood, when abundance allows the energetic extravagance of mating. It gives birth to young that face exactly the same tests that their ancestors faced 10 million years ago. Life persists where it is allowed to persist. There is something deeply moving in the existence of this animal. It does not seek to dominate out of vanity. It does not kill for pleasure or sport. Every action is dictated by the most fundamental need to survive in order to perpetuate the species. And in that brutal simplicity, there is a purity that the modern world has largely forgotten. The anaconda simply is what it is. On Amazonian mornings, when the mist rises from the rivers and the first rays of sun penetrate the canopy to paint the water gold and emerald, the forest awakens with an energy that no word can fully capture. Macaws cross the sky in noisy pairs, their scarlet and blue feathers gleaming against the infinite green. Howler monkeys announce the new day with roars that resonate for kilometers through the vegetation. White herons perch on the banks with statuesque elegance, and in some silent backwater, motionless as always, the anaconda waits. Its patience is the same it showed 1,000,000 years ago. its technique identical, its place in the natural order immutable. Throughout entire geological eras, while continents moved and species arose and disappeared, the anaconda has remained. A design so perfect that evolution has found no need to modify it significantly. It does not dominate the Amazon, it is an integral part of it. Every capybara that falls in its coils is part of a larger cycle of energy and nutrients. Every caiman that succumbs to its embrace keeps in balance populations that otherwise could grow out of control. Every birth of offspring that disperse through the channels seeds the future of the ecosystem. The anaconda is not simply an inhabitant of the forest, it is one of the forces that keeps it functioning, an irreplaceable gear in the machinery of life. As long as the rivers continue flowing to the sea, as long as the forest continues breathing under the equatorial sun, as long as the eternal cycle of rains and droughts continues marking the rhythm of Amazonian existence, the green anaconda will continue its silent path, waiting with infinite patience, hunting with lethal precision, surviving as it has done since before time had a name for humans. The silent giant remains, and in that permanence, there is a lesson that transcends biology. Nature, when allowed to exist according to its own rules, finds balances of a complexity and beauty that defy human comprehension. Every species, from the microscopic bacterium to the colossal serpent, has its place. Every death feeds new life. Every cycle prepares the next. The Amazon does not need us to improve it, it needs us to let it be. The Amazon is a fragile balance sustained by invisible giants. Every species that inhabits these waters depends on the integrity of a system that took millions of years to form. But beneath the apparent immensity, everything is changing. Deforestation advances, rivers fragment, and corridors of life narrow. The anaconda's strength is not only in its muscles, it is in an ecosystem that still breathes. Protecting the Amazon is protecting the last refuge of creatures that the modern world barely knows. If you felt the strength of this journey, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss the next stories of nature in its pure state. Until next time.